Greetings. I'm Rick Jordan. Welcome to Talk Thing number 2. But first, here are some ways that we can partner together on this YouTube channel. Right below this video are some options, ways you can help me that cost nothing. If you like what's happening here, you can click like. If you want to share, you can click share. And if you want to subscribe, please do that. YouTube likes it when people have subscribers. And this is kind of above my technology level, but I think if you click notifications, you'll receive an email every time I post something on the YouTube channel. Also, below this video, you will see something I just started about a week ago. It's a Patreon page. This is what I do now. Due to my health, this is what I can do. And we launched the Patreon page with no expectations, really, and we have been blown away by your support through the Patreon page, but also your support in other ways. What it has communicated to me is that we're in this together and that you find this to be sustainable in some way. And I join you. You are kind of leading me. So thank you so much. So here we go. Talk thing number 2. I'm calling it Thorn pride. We start with a scenario. Parents, remember when your children were young, or if your children are young now, you don't have to remember, you're right there in the middle of it. I want to present a scenario. Your little kid, son, daughter, asks for something or asks to do something, and you, in your parental wisdom, you know she not ready for it yet, wouldn't be a good thing. And so you say no. And of course, your child responds by saying, "Oh, thank you so much. I am eager to comply with your refusal." There's pushback, right? Sometimes if it's a 2, 3, 4-year-old, it's just an ineffable, or "You don't love me. You don't care about me. This is not fair." Here's the thing. You say no, but underneath that no is a better yes. Which brings us to 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 1 through 10. Written by a man named Paul. About half of what we call the New Testament is attributed to this one guy. They are letters he wrote, usually to churches, sometimes to individuals. And this letter is written to the church at Corinth. And in this part of the letter, Paul is defending himself from some accusations, some attacks. We pick up in the middle of his defense, and I'm reading from the Passion Translation. Here we go. "Although it may not accomplish a thing, I need to move on and boast about supernatural visions and revelations of the Lord. Someone I'm acquainted with who is in union with Christ," I know this friend, "was swept away 14 years ago in an ecstatic experience. He was taken into the third heaven, but I'm not sure if he was in his body or out of his body. Only God knows. And I know that this man, again, I'm not sure if he was still in his body or taken out of his body. God knows. Was caught up in an ecstatic experience and brought into paradise, where he overheard many wondrous and inexpressible secrets that were so sacred that no mortal is permitted to repeat them. I'm ready to boast of such an experience, But for my own good, I refuse to boast unless it concerns my weaknesses. Do you see now Paul is no longer talking in the third person like Major League Baseball player and bass dealer Ricky Henderson used to refer to himself in the third person. This is him. For my own good, I refuse to boast unless it concerns my weaknesses. However, if I were to boast, it wouldn't be ridiculous at all, for I would be speaking the truth. Yet, I will refrain, lest others think higher of me than what I demonstrate with my life and teaching. All right, here we go. The extraordinary level of the revelations I've received is no reason for anyone to exalt me, for this is why. A thorn in my flesh was given to me. The adversary's messenger sent to harass me, keeping me from becoming arrogant. 3 times I pleaded with the Lord to relieve me of this. So let's talk about what Paul calls a thorn in the flesh, or a toothache, something chronic, something just ridiculous, something that wouldn't go away. Really smart Bible people have various theories, ideas about what the thorn in the flesh might have been. Could have been poor eyesight. We know that from Paul's letters. Could have been recurrent malaria or some other kinds of health problems. We know from the book of Acts and from Paul's letters that he got the stuffing beat out of him on numerous occasions. And on one occasion, he literally got the life beat out of him. He was taken out of the city and he was stoned to death. And some brothers and sisters in Christ gathered around him and revived him, and he got back up. But boy, that'll leave a mark on you. And that may have been this death and back experience that Paul is talking about. And another theory, and I kind of like this one, ongoing people problems. What we know about Paul is that at any given time, he had 2 groups of people. One group of people wanted to be like him. The other group of people wanted to kill him a lot. Any of those, or any combination of those, would be a thorn in the flesh. And Paul wanted it out. It says 3 times I pleaded with the Lord to relieve me of this. Can you identify? On 3 occasions, and we don't know how long those occasions were. We don't know if they probably didn't last minutes, maybe hours, maybe days, maybe weeks. Just again and again, get this out of me, get this out of me, get this out of me. 3 times I pleaded with the Lord to relieve me of this. But God answered me, my grace is always more than enough for you. My grace is sufficient for you. And my power finds its full expression through your weakness. In other words, no, I'm not taking this thorn out of your flesh. I'm not giving you relief, because underneath this no is a better yes. Now watch. So I will celebrate my weaknesses, for when I'm weak, I sense more deeply the mighty power of Christ living in me. Thorn pride, get it? Verse 10, so I'm not defeated by my weakness, but delighted. For when I feel my weakness and endure mistreatment, when I'm surrounded with troubles on every side and face persecution because of my love for Christ, I am made yet stronger. For my weakness becomes a portal to God's power. Check out Paul reveling in his weakness. I think sometimes we are guilty, people of faith. all people of faith are guilty of what I'm going to call a theology of extraction, where basically we come to God for relief. Like, get this out of me, or get me out of this. And God has something better for us. Which brings me to my story. I have a big whopping thorn in my flesh. I have chronic health issues powered by multiple concussions that I suffered in early 2015. A car wreck. A lady accidentally hit my car with her van. And it changed everything, but we didn't know to what extent until the middle of December, where I suffered a complete breakdown in the middle of pastoring. It's why I can't function as a pastor in any conventional way. And I knew something was wrong, couldn't sleep, and I've always had high anxiety. I've always struggled in that department. But it's like the concussions blew the roof off of my anxiety, and really decided that sleep deprivation was going to be my norm. And it all caught up with me. And so here I am on YouTube. I have never felt more out of control when it comes to my life. I never know how much sleep I'm going to get, even though I have a lot of pharmaceutical chemistry swimming around inside me all the time, managing anxiety, high blood pressure, sleep deprivation, and all of them cause the others to be worse. Talk about a thorn in my flesh. See, I really don't know if I will ever be able to sing or speak in front of people again. Somebody asked me to do a funeral this week, and it hurt me, but I had to say no. I can't do that kind of thing. And I've really prayed for God to get me out of this, get this out of me. And God has responded like God responded to Paul. My grace is always more than enough for you, and my power finds its full expression through your weakness. And so here I am. And you know what? With all these limitations, with all these weaknesses, I've never been better. God's enablement, God's empowering presence is filling me so full that I may spontaneously pop before the end of top thing number 2, in which case, I'm sorry for the mess. Thorn, pride. Let's talk about you. You have a thorn. It can be a relationship. It can be a circumstance like pandemic. It can be a health issue. It can be an addiction. It can be, you know what it is. And if this is true of you, go ahead and beg God. You're in good company. Paul did in the Garden of Gethsemane. Jesus did 3 times. Abba, if it's possible, get me out of this. Nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done. And so if you need to get it out of your system, you're in good company, and God knows that. But I invite you to hear God underneath you saying, I've got you. My grace is sufficient for you. My power shows up best in your weakness. Grace and peace.